you picked like the perfect strategy to run that course. And I, like I said, I want people to come here and know and get some insight. What is the best way to conquer this course? And you have it, man. It's unreal what you did.
I think there's different layers to this course specifically. Just because it's very technical. You have your uphills, your downhills, they're rolling, you get your flat through Hollywood. So knowing how to measure yourself is the best way. And there's so many techniques out there. I kind of figured out what kind of works for this specific course at my pace, right?
Right.
Maybe it will vary a little bit depending if you're in the middle of the pack or back of the pack. And there's different strategies for that. But at least for where I'm at right there is to kind of take advantages of the downhill. That way you could take it easier on the uphills and then cruise throughout the flat. And then as far as pacing is to have a range and not to stress out when you're out of that range for too much, because there's plenty of room to catch up.
Right. And do you feel like when you started the race that you actually went slower? Wait, first of all, what is the 255? What's the pace for that?
For the pace for that, you're looking right around like a 630 to like a 640 type of range.
Right. So then at the beginning of the race, you weren't actually going out 630, 640. You were kind of just
I was trying to hold back as much as possible.
Okay.
I think maybe at that point I was like at 635, pretty close to like to the faster pace. But that's because we're at a Dodger Stadium and we're entering immediately into a downhill. But I was making sure not to overcook too much.
Right.
Yeah.
So you go down Sunset. You come out of Dodger Stadium, go down Sunset, get into Chinatown, fairly flat. Get into downtown LA, it's still kind of flat.
Yeah.
What is your strategy when you're going up Walt Disney Concert Hall in that area? Just pull the group
pull back at least 30 seconds slower to 45 seconds slower. There's no harm, no foul right there because it's only like a quarter mile of uphill. Only a quarter mile. That's pretty significant. Sorry, guys. But yeah, after that uphill, you have your flat and you have your replenishments right off the bat.
Yeah.
So. And then you jump into what's flat, and then you go into the downhill. So that makes it easy for you to recover, kind of hit cruise control real quick and catch your breath before you get into another segment of hills that are coming out.
Yeah, so then you leave, you go past the LED WP building, and then you go uphill, kind of uphill to Echo Park, right? And you pass Echo Park, and Sunset all the way down to Hollywood kind of seems like it's a straight shot down almost.
Oh yeah, that's where you get a lot of recovery as well.
Where you pick up,
like or bank some time, if you will. Usually I don't try to bank out too much time. Like if you're 5 minutes ahead, you're cooked. Usually I want to have like a minute to 2 minutes of buffer, if you will. And
any critical parts of the course that in the later miles that you feel are something needed to really pay attention to?
For the course, I think you should bank at least a minute to 2 minutes leading up to Santa Monica Boulevard. It's exposed and you have the rolling hills right there. And not only you go into a roller, you go into a gradual hill up Sepulveda Boulevard. And all of that, if it's a hot day, the sun's out, you have no cloud coverage, like you're going to get, you're going to feel it there, and you're going to wish you had like a nice hat, some glasses, and a personal umbrella following you.
It's serious, right?
So by banking in some time right there, you could kind of alleviate the pressure of keeping to pace and slowing down 10 seconds to like 30 seconds and then recovering.
Mile 20, you kind of turn that corner, you kind of hit the Pacer Nation there on the right, right? That's that pretty long stretch that leads to the freeway underpass. It's brutal, man. Like, I mean, what do you do at that point?
That segment's pretty daunting. I like what LA Marathon did this year, where they assigned more cheering stations right there. They have the coveted. Well, I don't know if it's coveted, but it's the traditional UCLA versus USC type of deal going down there. They appointed a band out there as well and a DJ underneath the bridge. So I felt like that alleviated like the stress of just being there on your own. It's pretty usually pretty quiet, and this time there's some energy out there to help you push through.
And then I guess the turnaround's pretty easy, and then at that point it's just kind of a straight shot down. Home free. But major kudos to you, man, for for doing what you did. It's just phenomenal. I mean,
it was nerve-wracking because we've never done that. Yeah. And it's very rare for a marathon to have a 2:55 pacer, because usually I'll have like up to a 3-hour marathon pacer just for the Boston cutoff. Yeah. But now like the 2:55 is going to be like the buffer, right? To make sure that you have the best chance possible.
Yeah. Do you think it's here to stay? Was there a lot of runners at the start line with you?
Yeah, so this was the best thing that I was able to do at the start, is to actually communicate with the runners and check in with them to let them know what the plan is. In previous pacing jobs that I've had, I'm always like, oh, we're like 30 seconds ahead, we're 30 seconds back. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm on time, but like if you're behind me and you're sprinting to catch me up, that's going to throw off your pacing. And so I told them and I gave them a range of like, hey, if you're planning on doing this, you know, keep me in sight. You're able to step back a little bit if you need. I'm going to run with a little bit of a buffer. And then I'm pretty good at communicating while racing as well. That's good. So I give the guys a heads up like, hey, right turn, you're going to have water at the right, on the left. We're about to go up on an uphill. We're going to bring it back a little bit. I'll give them instructions to shake out their arms, focus on their foot strike, or their shoulders if they're, you know, stressed or anything like that.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's the way it should be.
That's amazing. And I feel like that helps a lot of people a lot too, because it alleviates like them having to think and all that. Of course. I mean, part of having a pacer is for the runner not to have to stress about the time or anything like that. And then when you're strained, you can't do math, and you don't know what you have left in the bank.
I guess it's just amazing. You'd obviously, you know, you had a strategy, you studied that course. I mean, there is an advantage, you know, to really looking ahead. I know a lot of people, when they run races, they don't want to know what's coming, but you know, you have a strategy that's pretty amazing, you know. It's very, very impressive. How many runners ended up crossing with you?
So here's the cool thing. I had a pretty large group at the start, leading up to like mile 18.
What would you say, large ballpark?
Shoot. I got a couple photos of it. I think it was like maybe like 30 heads. Okay. Maybe a little bit more from that.
It's a big.
And then getting to like mile 18, like that's when things got crazy.
Sure.
Because at that point, from 18 to 20, I had instructed to them, like, depending on how you feel and your strengths, whether you still have more in the tank or you could push a little bit, that's where you could take off and even go further below at that point.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people like took me on and boom, they took off.
Really? That's amazing.
So like people that stuck to me like glue, I think it was like at least like 5 or 10 people that like stuck onto me next to me.
That's so
And like
cool.
the best part is crossing that finish line and seeing people right there and like coming back, giving you dabs, hugs and all that stuff.
It's a celebration.
Yeah,
man.
it's so huge. It's undescribable on that feeling. Yeah.
For yourself too. I mean, just helping these people accomplish, you know, their whatever BQs or personal
their
best.
lifetime goals. Like it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, big ups to you, man. So,
thank you.